my little party animals. Hiphiprenee here today with a brand new speed build for you, and today we are building Pirouette Dance School, aka Miss Renee's dream dance studio. That's right, we are building my dream dance studio. If you do not know this by now, I am in real life. I teach dance. That has been my job for at least 5 years now. I have been at the same studio. I think I'm actually going on my 6th year at this studio, but I have been teaching on and off since I was about 18 years old. So I have been teaching dance for just over a decade now. Yeah, let me show my age for a second. I have been teaching for over a decade now. And I have worked at quite a few different dance studios. And let me tell you, all of them, if you are not like a dance studio person, if you did not take dance growing up, or even things like gymnastics or what have you, dance studios are all very, very different. Every single studio that you go into is going to have an entirely different layout. They're going to have different things in them. Some of them will have changing rooms. Some of them won't. Some of them will have multiple studios. Some of them will have really nice waiting areas. Some of them you just walk in and you're in the studio and there's no waiting area. Every single dance studio is not created equally. And a lot of the times, honestly, it's just because you are most likely, if you own a dance studio, you are renting the space that your dance studio is in. So depending on where you are in the country or in the world, there are only so many places in your area that you could possibly rent a studio space from. A lot of times in the area that I'm in, the studio spaces end up being in like old mill buildings, so they're very large, they have really high ceilings, and they're nice. And I don't hate them, but I wanted to build my dream dance studio, and I'm really, really excited about this. I think it looks super cool. I love what I did in the back over here with these open doorways. I took that idea because the studio that I currently teach at, one of our studios, we actually have 2 separate locations, and one of our studios has these big garage doors. And you can actually just open the garage door while you're teaching. It gets really hot in the dance studio. It's not like the best insulated. There's not really very good AC just because of the type of space that we're in. So we actually just pop open the garage door, and we usually teach with that door open unless it's like raining or freezing, because it's really nice just to kind of get some fresh air coming into the studio and not have the girls be like dying of heat exhaustion or anything like that. So I took that idea from that. But the reason why I really wanted to do this is because the dance studio that I do currently work for, we are moving out of both of our locations and we're moving into one really, really big location. So the studio that I currently teach for, we have 2 separate spaces. One of the studios has 3 dance studios within it. The other one has 2 dance studios within it. And the first studio, there is one big studio, so you can fit a lot of girls in there, or guys. We do actually have boys that dance as well. Boys can dance. Boys should dance. We need more men in dance. I'm sorry if I keep saying girls. I just teach so many girls, it's just natural for me to be, okay, girls, let's go. So the studio that I teach in currently, we do have one really large studio. It's kind of like almost the size of the stage that we perform on. And then the other 2 rooms in that studio are significantly smaller than the large room. And then the second location, which is actually the location that I teach at, is just very small. Both of the studios are probably about, I would say maybe a quarter to the third of the size of the stage that we perform on. So it's a little hard to block dances and, get things looking right and get the kids spread out, enough that they're not going to be bumping into each other. And then they go on stage and you basically have to reblock again because they are so used to, just such a tiny little space. So it happens. It's, again, it depends on your space. You can only rent so many spaces. And if you have a lot of students and You want to have multiple studios so you can have, different classes running at one time, then, you're limited to what you have. But this studio, the one that we are currently moving into, has 4 studios that are all stage sized. So they are like humongous. I am so excited to move into this new space and be able to teach in just like a really big studio where I can really spread out and everybody has space to do everything that they need to do. We're not worried about kicking each other, which has definitely happened in my classes. Let me tell you, you do not want to deal with children who have accidentally kicked other children, because one of them always gets really angry about it and doesn't understand that it was an accident, and then it turns into a whole thing. So this pirouette dance school that we are building today, this does not look anything like the studio that we are moving into. The studio that we are moving into is like in a really old mill building, and it's very cool. I'm very excited. But to build that, it would have basically just been like this weird box with really just nothing going on. So, and it's also currently empty because we're actually physically building it and moving into it. So this is basically my dream dance school. If I were to ever own a dance studio, if I ever won the lottery and won $1 billion or millions of dollars, I would definitely open my own dance studio. Like, hands down, I would so open my own dance studio and just go to town with it. And this is what I would want it to look like. I love this. This is super cool to me. So downstairs, we have a really, really big studio that opens up to the little backyard that you kind of saw earlier. In that studio, there is a keyboard. There's, of course, a radio, so you can, play your music and all that kind of stuff. There are also style stations. I put the style stations in from Get Famous. I thought that would be perfect if, say, your Sims, not that we have dance, but, you can pretend. It's a game, you can pretend. But if you were going to, competitions or you were having a recital or something like that, you could have somebody come in and actually style your students, which would be really cool. There's also a really large waiting room downstairs, and there's a little homework area. If you have taken dance or, again, gymnastics, karate, any of those kind of, extracurricular school activities, I'm sure you probably know that you lived there. I lived at the dance studio when I was in, middle school, high school. I was there. By the time I was in high school, I was at the dance studio probably more than I was at school. It was just a constant. I was always dancing. I would leave school, I would go to color guard practice, I would leave color guard practice, and I would immediately go to the dance studio and be there until about 9 or 10 o'clock at night. It was never ending. I was always there. So having a little homework area is a nice little thing for, the Sim kids to be able to do their homework or their projects in between classes. I thought that was really fun, really kind of nice, clever idea. And then downstairs, there is also a store. So there's a little quote-unquote dance store. Now, again, we don't really have dance items. It's not like we have tutus in the game, which is surprising to me because I feel like that's something little children would wear on a regular basis. Little kids want to wear tutus because they're super cool, let's be honest. So I did put it down a retail store, and basically I just kind of put all sorts of different little makeup items. I put a few mannequins with some kind of more, I would say workout-y, dancey kind of things in there. And of course there's 2 bathrooms downstairs as well because, there's always that one kid that every 5 seconds, Miss Renee, I have to go to the bathroom. Can I go to every 5 seconds? I'm like, you don't have to go to the bathroom. You just don't want to tap dance today. That's just how that's happening. So then we come upstairs and we have a second waiting room for the children who are dancing upstairs. In this first little room that we are working on, we did obviously do the bathrooms and the changing area first, but those are pretty, straightforward. Not a lot going on in there. This room that we are currently working on is the preschool room. So a lot of times in dance studios, you will have mommy and me classes, you will have preschool classes, kindergarten classes, and they're all really just more creative movement than actual dance. So it's not like you're going to have a 3-year-old and be like, okay guys, head to the bar, we're going to do our pliés, tendus, and dégagés. They don't understand that. Most of the time it's put on music, hand the kid a wand, and tell them to dance around like they're princesses. So those classes, I'll admit, I'm not the best at teaching those classes, but I do enjoy them, and I think the kids look super cute when they do get up on stage. They're just, God, they're adorable. They always they're smiling, and they have no idea what's going on, and they never realized that they were going to have to dance in front of anybody, and some of them get super nervous. Some of them get, like, way too excited about it. It's really fun. It's really cute. I so enjoy teaching. But then the second room that we are working on is the staff office. So I think the staff office, this is probably one of my favorite rooms. So there's some nice couches in there for the teachers to be able to relax before, after, or in between classes. There are some tablets lying around, some computers lying around. So that way, if you need to work on your choreography or work on some class planning actually does take a significant amount of time. I usually spend most of my summer when I'm not teaching planning my classes for the fall. It takes a long time. I really like to make sure that I have a plan for every single month that helps the kids kind of grow each month. So if we start one month, we're working on pliés, maybe the next month we would start working on jumps, because pliés really translate well into jumps. After we would work on jumps, now that we've learned how to get off the floor, we would start working on things like leaps. And, everything is kind of a progression. You don't get to learn every single thing at once when you are learning how to dance. It's just straight up not possible. There are so many technicalities when you are dancing that you have to really perfect before you can move on to the harder, kind of crazy looking stuff. And it's really funny to kind of see new children come into the dance studio sometimes. And this is any dance studio, I feel like, and this is really kind of any child. If they're young, they're going to come in and be like, why aren't we learning the leap that the girl did in the movie Leap? Well, because the leap that the girl did in the movie Leap, first off, I don't know what leap she was doing because it did not really translate very well to film. But secondly, you're 4. So your version of leaping is going to be, I'm going to put a mat down on the floor and you're going to leap over the mat and pretend it's a puddle. So you're basically just like jumping over this mat. Like, you're not going to be able to do a full perfect split in the air, turning around and switching your legs and then landing beautifully and gracefully. Like, that's something for more advanced dancers. And a lot of children, when they first start, don't quite understand that. And a lot of parents, when their children first start, also don't quite understand that. They're like, well, my child learned pliés last year, so why are we still doing pliés? Well, because everybody does pliés. When I was in college, we did pliés for 45 minutes some days. It's just, pliés are like the basis of everything that you do. You need to know how to do it. So that's my little rant about dancers. But this big studio in here, this is my favorite room. Besides the teacher's room. I really do enjoy the teacher room, but this is definitely my favorite room as far as studios are concerned because of the piano. Now, teaching with a piano and a pianist is not something that I really got to do when I was, teaching at any point in my life, and I don't really remember. I don't think that I've ever taken more than like a master class that had a piano in the room. So having a piano in the room with a pianist is really, really cool, especially when you're teaching ballet. It's more for ballet anyway, but you can really just kind of work with whoever you have on the piano, and if something is too fast, they can immediately change the tempo for you. You can just kind of look at them and say, I need something in 3/4 for rond de jambes, and 9 out of 10 times they are going to come up with something super quickly that you have not heard from them before, and it's really cool, and it adds to the atmosphere of really feeling like you are in a very classical studio, and that's something that I super enjoy. Ballet is one of my favorite things to teach. It is one of my favorite styles of dance, just to actually physically dance. I think it is the most demanding, it is the most challenging. Other people could definitely argue that there are different styles of dance that are more challenging than ballet, and if that's your opinion, I fully support it. Me, as a classical dancer, I really feel like ballet is kind of like my end-all, be-all, whereas there are people who are, extremely skilled in hip-hop, and I give them full respect. Hip-hop is extremely challenging, but I think it's a different style. I mean, obviously it's a different style than ballet, but it's it's two completely separate things within the same general world. So, you know, it is what it is. But moving downstairs, this is the little homework area that we had talked about earlier. I think this is super cute. I did end up putting out like the actual homework, which I thought was a really fun idea. There is a laptop on here. There's a few of those open notebooks that I have been loving so much in my builds. I really, really enjoy that notebook. Like, favorite item, hands down. I don't know what it is about this particular item that just gets me, but I love having that notebook. I think it's just because I use so many notebooks. Like, you would be so concerned for me if you saw my desk right now. I have 2 separate planners. I have a notebook. I have an entire drawer just full of pens. Just all sorts of different crazy pens, and there's drawers full of notebooks. Like, every notebook has a purpose and has a place, and I know exactly what it's for. I'm sure there are other people out there like me, like we need to start like some sort of addicts club for notebooks, because I really do have a problem with it. It's like, I'm not allowed in Michael's by myself, guys, because I will leave with $75 worth of pens and notebooks. I just can't, I straight up can't help myself. So we are going into the downstairs bathrooms. Now, I'm not super excited about the placement of these bathrooms because they are in the back of where the retail store ends up being. Not the greatest of locations, especially if you are dancing in the studio next door. Now, the studios upstairs do have bathrooms up there, so that's not very concerning. But if you're in the studio next door, you have to walk all the way out through the front and then all the way through the homework area and then all the way through the store down to the bathrooms. So I feel like that would take a lot out of class time, which would be a little bit frustrating. So, you know, if we did have actual dance studios and actual dance abilities in The Sims, I probably would have put them in a different location. But because we don't actually have those things in The Sims, what I did is I actually made this a retail lot, just so that way you could use the retail store if you wanted to. I don't know what other type of lot makes sense here. Retail doesn't really make sense. I guess you could do generic, and generic would be fine. But anything else, I don't know. I think generic or retail, those are really kind of the only 2 ways that you can go. But I didn't really build this for it to be super usable. I have had a couple downloads off the gallery where people have commented saying that, you know, they're really excited about using this in their game, and, you know, they have been doing like a dance storyline, so this is perfect for them and things like that. And I applaud their creativity, and however they decide to use this lot is totally fine by me. If you want to download this lot, again, however you decide to use it is totally fine by me. I just thought it was really cute, and I really wanted to do something that I felt pretty knowledgeable about, because obviously I'm not an architect. I'm not a contractor. I don't actually really know anything about the houses that I build besides what I look up about them, which I will say I'm pretty good at doing my research for these things. But I do know dance studios. I do know teaching dance, and I wanted to do something that was really fun and really personal to me. So that's why we have this dance studio here. This studio over here is kind of more like the hip hop kind of studio, or like the jazz studio. This is probably where some of the competition girls practice. We do have their trophies kind of all over the place, so that's pretty fun. You do see the little stylist stations over in the corners, so that is perfect if the girls or the boys, again, I'm sorry, if they need to get their hair done or their makeup done or their makeup touched up or what have you. I just thought that was, you know, kind of a cute, clever little addition to the dance studio here. And we are basically finished. We're going to be heading into the screenshots in just a second. I really hope you guys enjoyed this, because I had a lot of fun building this. It was just, I want to own this dance studio. I want it to be a real place that I can really teach in, and I don't know, someday maybe I will win the lottery, or, you know, somehow become rich and I will be able to own and open a dance studio that looks just like this. If you guys did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up down below. I would super appreciate it. If you're new here or you're not new here and you're not subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that little bell so you get notifications every single time I post a new video. I will be back with you guys on Friday. You get another double upload on Friday as long as my laziness doesn't prevail. But you will be getting a sorority household to counterpart the frat boy household. You will be able to see their apartment build sometime next week. And then, of course, we are continuing along with the tours of the base game bungalow house. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. As always, I really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day. Bye.